You're listening to another Geek Pride podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Geek Pride podcast. Been a little bit of a while since we've last done this, but we've got an absolute treat for you this time because obviously Matt isn't here, so he won't be Irishing up the place. But we also have occasional guest and all-round excellent gentleman, Ben Fee, with us today. Hello, Ben.
I find your comments fairly ignorant about Irishing up the place.
Okay, so it's not about you being a gentleman then. No, it's the other one that's the problem.
Well, that's also an issue, but we'll come to that later. I feel as though I should do voices and pretend we have more guests here tonight.
Okay.
Oh, and here's also Freddie. Hello, I'm Freddie. You know what? It's a bad idea.
That was amazing. You had me built up. You really had me built up for a voice then. I thought it was going to be a good Irish voice, maybe a Welshman, but...
I was going to lean hard on the regional accents, then I thought that would just completely undermine my previous complaint about... that.
Oh dear, oh dear. How have you been, sir?
I've been fair to middling, I'd say, Can't complain.
Okay.
How about yourself? Have you been down the mines recently?
Oh, yes, obviously. That's all we do here in Leeds is go down the mines. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm currently nursing an injured ankle because left a karaoke place last night in a fair state of inebriation and misjudged 2 steps as being 1 step.
Oh, no.
And so did that thing where you kind of clip one of the steps and then the world rises up to meet you.
Which members of Step were they?
It was goddamn H, that guy who is always injecting marijuanas. It's just... And then he tripped me up.
Classic H.
Classic H.
Classic H. Excellent. So were you singing last night?
Yes.
What is your karaoke go-to song?
See, my karaoke go-to song they didn't have, because I would generally go for House of the Rising Sun.
Interesting.
Quite like that. I think I kind of just about have the range to suit that. But they didn't have it at all. It was this strange, Japanese karaoke place. And they had quite a lot of K-pop and J-pop. And then random selections of songs.
Gaijin pop.
Yeah. And so you'd have just really Foo Fighters were there, but it wasn't.
They were there.
Yeah, they were there, kind of watching us perform. No, they had Foo Fighters actually on the menu, as it were, but they didn't have many of the songs you would have expected. Like they had "Learn to Fly" and things like that, but none of the ones that you would kind of really want to belt out once you've had a bit to drink.
I hear you. I do love a bit of karaoke myself. I am a massive karaoke fan.
Okay, what's your go-to then?
Well, it does change quite a lot, but at the moment it is Kiss by Prince.
Okay, I genuinely don't know that song.
Is it called Kiss? The one where he says...
I just want your extra time and your kiss.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Right. Okay, that may be the title of the song, I just didn't immediately recognise it. I am going to admit to being a bit thick.
I don't know if it was by Prince. I think maybe Tom Jones might have been the guy who first did it, but it's Prince's version that I really go for with all the high bits, like ooh,
right,
ooh, all that kind of stuff. I friggin' love it.
Bit of a falsetto, then, are you?
After a few beers, I've been known to to lop off my testicles and really go for it.
Excellent, fantastic stuff. Now, my range is quite low. I need to go low if I'm going to hit anything even approaching what humans recognise as notes.
I hear that. I mean, it's quite often you'll start a song and you'll start in such a weird octave. By the time the high bits come, it's like, you know what, I fucked it up. I've come in. I've got all your hopes up. I'm going to go. I'm going to sit down.
Yeah. Sorry, can we just start again, guys? Can we start again? Right?
You could blame everything else like Mariah Carey did at New Year's.
Oh, yes.
The lighting in here is just atrocious. I can't carry on. Where are my M&Ms? I ordered a big glass of M&Ms on my rider.
Absolutely. And
You should go into a karaoke bar with a rider and just give it to the guy behind the bar. I'll need these. I'm going to perform tonight. So okay, carry on.
That would be amazing. I would genuinely support someone doing that. In fairness, well, we started out, myself and one of my friends, Rick. We started out with "Down with the Sickness" by Disturbed. That was the first song.
Okay, was it the original version as well?
Yes, not the Richard Cheese version, which would have been equally amazing.
Right.
And at one point, we had the whole room doing My Chemical Romance's "Welcome to the Black Parade."
Oh, okay, right. Classic Leeds crowd then.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I am. How are you and the Murdosaurus Rexes that you call a family?
Wow, that's extremely rude. They have murdered hardly anyone this year. So, okay, they're doing really well.
We had that family meeting, and we said, you know what, we've got to cut down on the murders.
It gives me the whole karaoke discussion though gives me an idea for at least a brief segue. What would you reckon would be an excellent geek karaoke bar? Or what would be on the menu in a geek karaoke bar?
Ooh.
I mean, I'm assuming you've never been to a geek karaoke before, or that they even exist.
I've got to assume they would exist, because just in the kind of entirety of the world, there must be at least one or two bars. I mean, America is so huge that I wouldn't be surprised if they had an anime-specific karaoke night.
Oh, that would be immense.
I don't just mean only anime songs, I mean only songs from a specific anime.
Just the one anime.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, this is the Naruto bar. You want the Cowboy Bebop on the road? Fuck off. Yeah.
So, I would say that there's definitely, at some point, there's been a geek karaoke, but I'm trying to think now what you'd really want to put on there. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, you could have the whole gamut of anime intros and outros. There's tons of amazing ones. I mean, the Naruto one, Sword Art Online, jump out at me. But also you can have things like songs from computer games.
Yes.
Like the song from Portal, the end of Portal.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
That the computer sings at the end.
Yep, that's definitely a good one. There was one of the anime themes that sticks in my head is Bleach, where it goes, "Tonight love is racing, tonight a cry."
Yeah.
I quite like that song. I could give that one a good go.
I love how all the anime songs have like one line in English. There was an anime called Nadesico.
Right.
And it had a line in it, "Going your days, grow up." And it was like, "Going your days, grow up." It's like, that's amazing. I don't even know what, but
that's not really a sentence, but we love you for it, Japan.
Yeah. Oh man, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I guess there's the musicals like Team America.
Oh. Yeah, and the Buffy musical.
Buffy musical, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, that could work.
So all these musical episodes, you've got quite a collection there. I mean, you could even stick in the Disney songs.
Yep, Disney, absolutely.
I mean, there's a huge crossover there, Geeks and Disney. Just like a pop culture karaoke bar. Shit, this is going to happen. I think we should do this.
This would be a really good Geek Pride night.
You know what? It freaking would. Singing TV theme tunes.
Oh yeah.
Like, just someone stand there going, dun 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 dun. I wasn't thinking Coronation Street, but yeah, you could do. I want to do Corrie. It's a geek night, mate. You can't do Coronation Street. I want to fucking do Corrie.
Tell you what, if you are so geeky about Corrie that you can name like what individual characters are doing in individual episodes, I think I'd allow it. Yeah.
I think it's a good point you on that. I mean, I think it's a bit unfair that sort of the geek label and geek culture, it's so popular now and it's sort of ubiquitous. It's sort of being held by the sci-fi and fantasy guys and the board gamers and the RPGers, like they're geeks. But really, fucking everyone's a geek. Like every single person you meet is a geek about something. There's a topic or a TV show or a game or something that they love so much they know everything about. They're passionate about it. I think every single person in the world is a geek. I mean, especially these football fans.
Yep, absolutely.
My brother-in-law, you wouldn't think geek. He's not into like sci-fi shows or comic books or whatever. but he can tell you who scored every goal in any match you care to give him for any team. And it's like that attention to detail and that sort of, I want to say obsession with a certain subject. And that's what a geek is.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, speaking as a geek who is also a football fan, there's absolutely a connection between the two, like undoubtedly so. Is about tribalism, a sense of belonging, about caring for something that many people don't care about, and seeing value in an activity that others don't.
Yeah. And they wear the costumes of their favourite characters.
Well, they do if they're full kit wankers.
I see there's the same snobbery as well in
that's
that culture.
No, there is a thing of, look, it's fine to have the shirt, that's fine.
Right.
Like, don't buy the shorts. And especially don't buy the socks.
Yeah.
Like, if you are under the age of about 14, it's fine.
Right.
Absolutely fine. But at a certain point, it's just, you look like a failed Chippendale who can't let it go. Like somebody who's so far past their prime. So, what have you been up to, or?
Oh well, you're gonna be very happy with me. I
Okay.
bought a PlayStation 4.
Ah, fantastic! So you made the rational console choice.
I made both the console choices.
Ah, man!
I bought an Xbox about a year and a half ago.
Wow, look at Mr. Moneybags over here.
Right, I can buy two things over 2 years.
All right. I consider
Ta-da.
myself back in my place. Yes. But yeah, congratulations. It's a very, very good console, is the PlayStation 4. I do think it's slightly superior to the Xbox One, but that's because the exclusives that it has primarily are much more in my taste than the Xbox Ones.
Well, that's what won me over, the exclusives. I mean, I went to my brother's house the other day and he was playing Uncharted 4,
Yeah.
A Thief's End.
Yeah.
And he was playing it, and usually if someone's playing a video game when you go to someone's house, it's like, they're playing the video game, it's not that interesting for me to watch you playing it.
No.
But watching Uncharted 4, I was riveted. It was just playing with it. It's like, this is an excellent story. I'm actually, it feels like watching a film here.
Yeah, absolutely incredibly cinematic set of games. That means you would never have played The Last of Us either, then.
No. I want to pick up The Last of Us remastered for the PS4. I'm going to pick up the Uncharted 1 to 3 on a collection or something. Although I hear that the first one's bollocks.
Yeah, it is.
But it's the exclusives that really got me to buy it. Because I got Horizon with it, Zero Dawn.
Of course, yes.
And I've started playing that. It's fantastic.
That's absolutely on my list.
It reminds me a lot of Fallout, but better. Because it's set in that kind of post-apocalyptic world when there's technology from ancient times knocking around. Got that kind of lost technology feel to it. It does feel a lot better. It's very good.
But by Fallout but better, you mean but Fallout 3 and 4 but better, yes? You don't mean New Vegas.
I don't mean Vegas. I don't mean Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 either.
Good. Okay, good. Because I was going to have to leave the house and come track you down.
You do anyway.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Yeah, it was... I have seen some incredibly good things about it. Everyone I know who has it absolutely loves it. It's definitely on my purchase list, but I'm a bit weird and frugal at the moment. I unless it's like a certain kind of game, I wait for it to drop significantly in price and then get it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
but there's not just those. You've got Bloodborne as well.
Yeah.
Which, as I think I've said here, but I will say again, is the best video game that has ever been made, as far as I'm concerned.
Really? Okay.
Yes, literally the best video game that's ever been made.
But have you played Lemmings, though?
Yes, I have.
Whoa.
And you know what? The story of Lemmings did move me deeply, but there's just a little bit more in Bloodborne that speaks to me, I'm afraid. But it's not just that. Neo as well. Neo, which just came out in the last couple of weeks, is a really, really good game. Like an incredibly good game. It's a bit like It's like a cross between the best parts of the most recent Devil May Cry game.
Okay.
So the reboot one,
Yeah.
DMC Devil May Cry, and Dark Souls. It's not perfect. Like there's definitely it doesn't have the game design of the level of design of Dark Souls. It has more of the level design of a sort of Devil May Cry-ish game.
Right.
So it doesn't have a massive ton of replayability as a result, but the combat is far deeper than you get in Souls games, and it's really good fun. Like I was just online with my new game plus character helping other people beat bosses because it was just a lot of fun to do.
Just a nice guy.
Yeah.
All around. You're the whole package, aren't you?
Well, yeah. But Neo truly we're obviously getting to recommendations a little early there, but Neo it's a very, very good game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I've done every one of the normal missions, including the 2 just kind of fuck you optional bosses that they threw in. It's really good fun. Really love it. So that's another PS4 exclusive. So with regards to the exclusives alone, and taking all of the elements of the hardware and so on aside, I think Sony have definitely cornered the market for this generation.
I'd agree. I mean, I was looking at the exclusives for the Xbox, and there's not that much to write home about. You've got your Halo, but come on, guys, that's kind of been done.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'm struggling to actually think of a decent Xbox exclusive.
There's one coming, which is an action RPG where I think you're a dragon rider or you fight massive dragons, one of the two, that looks really incredible. But that's still like a few months down the line.
PS4 one where you've got a giant cat dragon that you have to walk around with and help out?
Oh, The Last Guardian?
Yes.
Yeah, don't get that.
Oh no, really? Is it shit?
From everything I've heard, the problem is it's made by the same people who made Shadow of the Colossus and Ico and so on, and you'd think, brilliant, because they're a team of incredible game developers who've made some wonderful experiences.
Uh-huh.
But the problem is they haven't developed at all since they made either of those 2 games. So it's a PS2 era game on the PS4, and the world has moved on so much since then that the game design failures that they have in that game cannot be forgiven in the modern era. Things like the AI of the Last Guardian itself, the thing that you control, is absolutely terrible. You can spend about 5 minutes trying to get it to eat the thing it needs to eat or grab the thing it needs to grab. There's a fantastic video from Jim Sterling, obviously famed video game critic and all-round magnificent bastard, where he just showed some of his terrible experiences with The Last Guardian, and one of them was there's this section where you tell the Guardian to hop across a piece of just like an expanse that you're going to die in, and you've got to swing on something, let go, and then the Guardian is supposed to catch you in its mouth before you plummet to become paste.
Mm-hmm.
And in the video he shows arranging all of this, swinging, letting go, hitting the creature's face, bouncing off of it, and descending to his death. And as the camera pans up, you see the creature the thought finally gets through its head, and it snatches to try and catch him.
So there's a few flaws there then.
A few flaws, yeah. Yeah, it needs a bit of work, absolutely.
I suppose compared to the Xbox exclusive, like the Halo, the Gears of War, the Titanfall, they've gone for a really different market, it looks like.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Sort of like the frat boy kind of, oh, yeah, Halo, Gears of War, just big dudes smashing shit up kind of genre.
Wasn't that actually the Xbox's tagline on launch?
What? Or
yeah, big dudes smashing shit up.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Whereas the PS4, the games on there are a lot more considered and a lot more cerebral.
aside from Uncharted, because Uncharted's great, but it's still like a big budget action film stretched out over 4 or 5 hours.
Still compare it to Gears of War. In Uncharted, you're solving puzzles,
Yes.
you're talking, well, you're pressing through a really well scripted story. You're looking out for interesting artifacts. In Gears of War, you are chainsawing an alien in half again and again and again, and repeat.
And let's be honest, chainsawing an alien in half in moderation can make a really good game.
Everything in moderation is fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure I can think of something that's not good in moderation.
Yeah, you don't want to moderate your oxygen intake, for example.
Although, to be fair, moderation is a very, very vague term.
Yes, it's true.
Solid gold.
Yeah, obviously everyone who's listening is going to be quite a strange and different one for people. But then again, they're used to this because didn't we do this, was it Play Expo? We recorded in the middle of the expo.
Don't even remind me about that. Oh, so here's the story. At Play Expo, we had to commentate over some games of Rocket Jump. So I was doing this commentator
Rocket
voice.
Jump!
I don't
Jump!
know what it's fucking called.
It's called Rocket League!
You're called Rocket League.
Your face is called Rocket League.
Hey, too far, man. So we're commentating on this game called Rocket League, which I hadn't played before, seen before. So it was like, here's 25 games Rocket League, you got to commentate over for the next 6 or 7 hours.
Yep.
So that was crazy. So I got into this kind of rut of doing this commentator voice, like, hey everybody, it's me, a commentator. Okay. And I forgot to stop doing it for the podcast. So for the podcast, it's you're just talking there normally, like, so Ben, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm fine. How are you? So when I heard it back, I did feel like a bit of a twat.
I clearly just didn't notice. Maybe the process of you becoming that character must have been so slow that I didn't note it over the 36 hours that we sort of spent at Play Expo.
Was it only 36? Wow, they really flew by.
Yeah, it really would have been, because you didn't turn up. You didn't turn up, but you weren't there for the setup on the Friday evening, were you?
Oh no, I didn't go down for that.
Yes, you were there from like Saturday morning till Sunday afternoon, so about 36 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I slept over in the place.
Yeah, absolutely. As we all do.
The guards were not happy. They were not happy with me at all. But a few favours and they walked away happy.
Absolutely. And this is what this podcast is really about. Ben gently blowing fictional guards in a massive auditorium.
Full of arcade machines. And to be honest, we've all had that dream. Oh. It's very specific.
Well, that's really what Martin Luther King Jr. was talking about when he said, I have a dream.
I have 2 dreams. The first one's like really nice, but the second one's really weird. I'll probably just leave that for my journals. Oh yeah, the Lost Journals of Martin King Jr.
Anyway, yeah, so this is going to be a slightly different kind of podcast, but hopefully one that entertains nonetheless.
Do you mean shitter? Slightly different.
Yeah, there's like, I don't know, like for example, there's different grades of leather, and the lowest grade of leather is, I think, called real leather. The lowest, so the worst kind of leather you can get is called real leather.
Yeah.
And so anybody who's looking at it will think, oh, that's real leather. But somebody who is, say, a tanner would look at real leather and be like, that is utter shite. And that's what I think this podcast is going to be. It's going to be the real leather of Geek Pride podcasts.
Well, I am honoured to be here with you for that record-breaking podcast. We've finally hit the bottom of the barrel,
yes.
And we've realised we can go deeper. We can go deeper in the bottom.
We need to go deeper. Wow.
What were you miming there?
That was supposed to be Inception.
Oh, right. I thought back to my blowing garden auditorium.
Maybe. I mean, I don't want to presuppose your technique. Maybe that's how you do it. Fair enough.
just make that noise. Let's go for it. Wow.
Oh, God, that would be so off-putting.
Right.
Even more off-putting than a married father just being like, I'm so desperate to sleep in this auditorium that I will get down on both knees. It's the fact that you then get into it by going, wow.
Like, I have many places I can sleep tonight, but I have chosen here this auditorium, and I'm sticking by this decision. Mama didn't raise no quitter.
Oh, that's amazing. principled stand to stay in Play Expo overnight.
Oh, dear.
Oh, bloody hell. Ah, fantastic stuff. So anyway, aside from that, what have you been up to geek-wise? You've been watching any new series, or...?
I've been watching The Expanse. Have you been watching The Expanse?
I want to read the books first, because a friend of mine is going to lend me the books. Oh, is this a bad idea?
I just want people to watch it sooner.
Ah, fair enough. In fairness, there's so much on Netflix that I need to watch.
This is true. Yes.
Like, I only watched Kingsman for the first time today.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's the sort of film where you kind of put your brain to one side, but I was a bit hungover, my ankle was throbbing, so it was the perfect film to put on a Sunday afternoon whilst I wanted to do some ironing.
Yeah, that's legit. I was on the fence with it until the scene in the church. For
Yes.
people who've not heard this, not seen this film before,
Yeah,
I'm going to spoil it for you now.
absolutely. Go ahead.
So keep listening very carefully. Essentially, there's a very violent fight in a church, which is really graphic.
And it's what normally happens on a Sunday anyway, so...
In all the churches I've been into, they always end in a brawl. But it's super violent, and it's shot as though it's one long scene, which is really nice. Obviously, it's not. They do that thing where they cut whenever they're coming past a black pillar or something. But it looks like it's all one scene. It's just really effective. And it's your man doing the fighting, and the man's name is not Mr. Darcy. That's the character he plays in the Bridget Jones affair.
It's Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy.
Yeah, I think I could eventually judge up his name, but...
I want to say Clive Williams. His name's Clive Williams.
Clive Williams.
His name's not Clive Williams.
No, it isn't.
It looks like he could be. He could be Clive.
Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy is kicking some arsey in a church.
I wasn't a fan of that rhyme, to be honest.
Well, you're just going to have to live with it now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's recorded. It's set in stone.
Yep,
it's down.
literally set in stone. I'm not cutting that out. That stays in.
I mean, I know, obviously, as everyone knows, all the Geek podcasts are transcribed into stone tablets for posterity.
Well, if they were, I wouldn't have lost so many podcasts, so I'm afraid that kind of immediately breaks the fantasy you were building there. Sorry, Ben.
That's all right. My life is having fantasies broken. That's pretty much how I live day to day.
That's just being a parent, isn't it?
I was going to say just being alive. But
okay.
Every single time I'm on a podcast, I always delve into this nihilistic or nihilistic rant about life being meaningless. I don't mean it. I love life. It's fantastic.
Okay, random, but I just started reading Nietzsche.
There you go, okay.
And obviously he talks about nihilism quite extensively there. And it's strange, but I kind of feel sorry for him because from what I understand, and clearly I'm just starting out, I'm not saying I'm in any way kind of 100% right on this, but from what I understand, he espoused nihilism as like a transitory philosophy to get you to a point where you build your own.
Exactly, yes. I love nihilism. I really feel a strong kinship toward it, in the sense that it's really sort of saying that nothing has any inherent value or worth except the value you put into it. You get to choose what things are worth.
But that's the reason that I kind of feel sorry for him, because he worked his whole life to get this point across. And then you come to the 21st century, and people forget that second stage where you then build your own values. And it's just everyone's like, well, nothing matters. Like, okay, yes, technically nothing intrinsically matters, but I think you're supposed to then build upon that in some fashion, rather than just going, nothing matters, yay, let's do some memes.
It's like, exactly, it's like all sort of philosophical views boil down to these pop ideas. Like, people think of Freud, they think, oh, he was talking about sex all the time. Everyone wants to have sex with their mothers. That's all Freud was about.
Yeah, and it's terrible. You're kind of talking in your normal day, and then you make a Freudian clit, and no one will let it go.
Well, there. That was all good. Didn't hear anything with that.
That's my favourite. Sorry, that's my favourite turn of phrase is Freudian clit. I really like saying that. And I just got to drop it in casually there as a joke, but I just really like saying it.
But yeah, of nihilism. It's been boiled down to if you're into nihilism, you want to die. You think that you should die and never existed, and everything is terrible. But that's not it at all. It's an amazing worldview, and I think it's a very humanist worldview as well. Because if nothing has any intrinsic worth or any kind of value, or except for the value you put into it, then surely your whole life should be trying to increase that value and increase that worth.
Yeah.
Trying to make the things around you better and worth more. That's just my 2 cents. Thrown in there. That's
fair enough. Yeah, that's good. That's a very good way of kind of looking at things and thinking about things. Can't disagree with that on principle. To bring things back to geekiness, one of the obviously a very famous kind of nihilist would have been Rick from Rick and Morty.
Yes.
And I quite like, in a way, the end of the second season because, it's not going to be, but it could be a character growth moment where he accepts there is something that's important because he's kind of given himself up for his family. He's finally accepted that something does matter, and it was his family's happiness. So if we could get a tiny smidge of character growth out of that, I'd really respect Rick and Morty a lot.
I think they might just fart all over that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they probably will.
Turn it into a dick joke or something. But that was amazing because he's chosen to give his family this. Is it even his family? If you listen to the sort of conspiracy theories, it's a very good chance that these people aren't the original daughter and son-in-law and grandchild of Rick. These may well be just one of the many, many billion, infinite number of families out there that he could attach himself to, and he's chosen this one, and he's said, okay, these are my family now. I'm going to stick with these guys. I'm going to give myself up for them. I'm going to sacrifice myself for them, which is very nice. And that whole moment at the end it's completely just made even sweeter when he's giving himself up to the police. And he just says at the end, my name's Jeremy Smith. And I just love
yes.
fucking big
sweaty balls. Yeah, exactly.
This is really sweet, sort of sacrificing moment.
Yeah.
It's completely just topped off with a ball joke.
Which is exactly what you want, really. It's kind of
it is.
Two great flavours that taste great together. But yeah, I would like to see some character growth just because Rick and Morty is great, and I really truly understand why people love it so much, and it is one of my favourite series. But I think BoJack Horseman is significantly superior insofar as characters there all have grown over the 2 to 3 series, and whilst it's also really silly and daft and covers a lot of the same themes, like there's a couple of suicide attempts from BoJack Horseman in the series, and you get at least one suicide attempt from Rick during the course of Rick and Morty as well. So they cover some very similar themes, but there's actual character growth on everyone's part, aside from BoJack. But even BoJack does have he doesn't have character growth. He almost has character restriction. It's constriction's a really interesting way that they do the storytelling. But yeah, just as an artsy fartsy liberal faffer, I do want to see more from the show, because I think that there's a lot more they could potentially do with Rick and Morty alongside the ridiculous fart jokes.
It would make sense to have some growth there, to show us something new, because in the first season it's like they show us what the concept is, and here's Rick and Morty, a granddad and a grandson on the ground doing crazy shit, and that's it. There's not really anything else to that first season. In season 2, you see pretty much more of the same. They just explore on those same themes. There's very little actual growth in any of the characters. The only 2 points I'd sort of caveat there are, you see the evil Rick.
Yeah.
You see there, he does have those feelings for the boy. And then, again, in the last episode, he gives himself up for the family. So he's showing small kind of signs that he's not just this cold, intergalactic mad scientist doing whatever he wants and he doesn't care about anything. there are things that he does care about, and I think we will see more of that in season 3, as well as more penis jokes.
I hope so. I really hope so. I really want to see a third improv episode, but I want them to give some of the other voice actors the chance to do the improv as well. I think that would be quite interesting to see.
You mean like, what's the guy's name? I love him. The guy who plays Jerry Smith. Chris Parnell.
Yeah, Chris Parnell. It'd be great to see him doing some, or...
and Sarah Chalk.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to see them doing some of the improv as well, just to kind of change things up a little bit. I feel like that would be a good way to continue doing like a traditional type of episode, but still have something different that goes with it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But what kind of format would that take? Because they've done the TV show thing twice. I mean, 3 times might be killing it a bit.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do it. They might have to do it. You just do it as a TV show again. They could just be waiting somewhere. I don't think everyone's going to be like annoyed as long as it's a good storyline that follows along with it. Like, I mean, in that episode, Werner Herzog is there. He does the guest voice as what is it?
Schneebly Pinkles.
Schneebly Peoples, or yeah, whatever he's called. And talking about like world peace and how much humans are fascinated with penises, and that just kind of works so well because you've got that kind of that contrast as well. So you could just do that with good enough writing, kind of separate those out. Fantastic. So I say so. Kingsman is probably the most recent thing I've watched that I really enjoyed. I'm off to see Logan Wednesday.
I saw that. I saw it yesterday.
Ah, fantastic. So, without spoiling it, because if you spoil it, I will literally fucking kill you. What did you think?
No pressure then. I liked
no
it. It was good.
It was a film.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I had a little tear in my eye a couple of times during it. There's some really, really nice, heartfelt bits between the really graphic violence, and just all the characters are fantastic. At one moment, I caught myself thinking, "This is the most Wolverine-y thing I've ever seen in my life."
Wow.
Like this is it. This is like peak Wolverine right here.
Interesting. Right. So let me guess. Peak Wolverine, I would say, is chopping a robot in half whilst smoking a maple flavoured cigar and swearing.
Wow. That's exactly what happens. I was a bit disappointed that
Fuck! Yeah, I told you not to spoil it for me!
Shit, I'm dead now. I was kind of hoping for a sort of Every Which Way But Loose kind of film with Wolverine and an actual Wolverine, like hanging out the side of his pickup truck, giving the finger to like some passing truckers.
That would have been amazing,
right? Just the Wolverine and an actual Wolverine in a pickup truck driving around.
It failed critically, but it definitely was a brave and bold choice to just have a buddy travel movie with a Wolverine.
Where one of them's an animal, a wild, aggressive animal.
Ah, but which one is really the animal?
Oh, shit. Right itself. No, I thought it was a fantastic movie, and Patrick Stewart is so great in it. He's just...
He's great in everything. I watched Green Room the other day. It's on Netflix. It's about a band that get booked to play a Nazi gig, essentially. And whilst they're there, they see something they shouldn't have, and then shit goes down seriously thereafter. It's like a horror film / thriller, and he is incredible because he plays the lead Nazi.
Oh, right. Okay. Excellent. Oh, wow.
And he's really
it's
good.
A bold choice.
Listen to him on the Nerdist podcast. Like, there are other podcasts if you have to listen to them, guys.
Don't listen to him, no, they're not. This is the only one.
Yeah, and he talked about what attracted him to it, and it's just because it was such a different role, something he'd never done. And it was such like a dark and horrible person to play. And he does it incredibly well. He's really good in it.
Did you catch Daniel Radcliffe playing... it was an FBI agent undercover in a neo-Nazi compound.
I haven't, but I actually really wanted to watch that. What was it called?
It was called Harry Nazi and the White Supremacist Cloak
Harry Potter and the Fourth Reich.
and the Chamber of Hitler.
Oh, God.
Okay, the jokes get worse from here, people. They get worse.
Yeah. But I know the film you're referring to, and I do want to watch it.
It was called Imperium.
Imperium. Yeah, okay. Imperium makes
Yeah.
sense. That rings a vague bell as well. Excellent. So you've watched it then? Is it good?
Oh no, I've not watched it.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
I just hoped you had.
No. It's not like I watch white supremacist films exclusively. I want to make this clear.
It's really awkward. I actually thought that was what your jam was. That was what you did.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I have seen American History X, and it's a great film, in fairness.
It's a great film. Oh.
Yeah.
I like Avery Brooks in it. Avery Brooks? No, what's his name? Is that his name? Avery Brooks? The guy who played Benjamin Sisko in Deep Space Nine.
Oh, shit. Wow, is that him?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's the dude. He's the teacher.
Oh, Christ on a bike.
It is Avery Brooks. Avery Brooks, that's the man, yeah, Avery Brooks.
Fucking tastic. There you are. Which brings
Right.
it all back to geekiness, thankfully.
Boom. It's like we've scripted this. It's almost as if we've sat down and wrote this out. So it's perfectly come back to Star Trek again.
Tell you what, Deep Space Nine, I watched all of it. Well, not all of it, actually, no.
Yeah.
I watched it through using an episode guide which tells you which ones are the filler episodes and which ones aren't. And it holds up incredibly well. It's probably my favourite of the Star Trek series, because it just explored so many weird and dark things.
Some of the characters in there are just they really stay with you. Some of the characters, like
absolutely.
This is why I struggle to name a single fucking character from the show.
Like, what's his name? And
the guy with the
thingy.
ears and
Yes.
face guy. No, because Quark is one of the best characters.
Absolutely,
in Star Trek.
yeah.
I've always maintained that the best elements of the Star Trek universe are the non-Federation, day-to-day kind of businesses and people who are living under this, not regime, but under this government, under this intergalactic government. I remember there's an episode of DS9, I think, one of my favourite episodes of DS9, where the Irish guy,
Chief O'Brien,
Chief O'Brien, he goes undercover because he's got some kind of military past, some kind of espionage kind of past going on, and he goes back to this planet, just a normal Federation planet, but there's very little actual shiny cities or people walking around in jumpsuits. It's just normal people living their normal lives. And it's so dystopian and interesting. Do you know what episode I'm referring to?
I know vaguely. Is that one of the ones?
Might be a filler one.
Yeah, when they go to... what are they called? The Marquis. Where it's like the Marquis and the people they're fighting for. Is that one of the planet he goes to?
I think it might be. I think it might be, yeah.
And that whole thing was really interesting. The fact that there was an entire subset of the Federation that was disenfranchised because they had to sign a treaty to stop a war.
Yeah, it made it far more real. Because in previous Star Trek series, you've got this beacon of enlightenment, which are the Federation, and it's very rare that you'll find something wrong with them arise within the Federation that they can't justify away as being a rogue element or some kind of alien in disguise or something. But when the Marquis turn, it's like, okay, something that the Federation have actually done has effed over lots of people, and they aren't happy about it.
And the thing is that it's not that they've done the wrong thing. It's that they've made a decision that you can understand them making, but it has terrible consequences. I mean, in Deep Space Nine, they have a military coup.
Yeah.
So the military branch of the Federation attempts to launch a coup over the political branch of the Federation. It's incredible the things that they went through in that.
You're looking forward to the new Star Trek series, Star Trek Discovery.
Sort of. I'm nervous about it, is what I would say. I think I can see it going well, but I can also see it going badly.
As long as they play Beastie Boys Sabotage every episode, I'll be satisfied.
Oh god, it's funny because it actually works in the films as well. It's such a cheap tactic, but it works.
Yeah, oh, but if you never said when I was a little boy that Captain Kirk was a Beastie Boys fan, I'd have laughed in your face, and probably just proved myself.
Because that's what I used to do.
I'm talking about very young here, like
Oh.
1.5 years old.
Oh yeah, so it's back when you were still a fan of Kirk, but the very concept of him liking Beastie Boys would have caused you to literally defecate yourself.
Yeah, because I was currently aware of Kirk and Beastie Boys at that time.
My first word was Tiberius.
and then sabotage. But yeah, it's the new series. It's set before Next Generation.
Mm.
Is it set before the original series? I think it might be, mightn't it?
I'm not 100%. I kind of thought it might have been set like after part of it, but not after all of it. But it'll be set at some point. You know what? Go and look it up. We're not Google. You can go and look it up for yourselves, can't you?
All right.
Yeah.
Don't be hostile to our listeners.
Well, they're always just expecting things. Like, we're supposed to know what we're talking about. I mean, that's...
Or have prepared in the slightest.
Exactly. It's entirely unrealistic.
I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. Anybody who's listened to this podcast for more than 4 episodes will know that we are unprepared, slapdash, charismatic motherfuckers. And that's what we do.
Borderline racist.
Oh, no.
But I don't know. I feel as though Star Trek needs something entirely new. It needs a complete shot in the arm that I don't think that the reboot has become. I don't think it's manifested itself as the entirely new revamp that it first set out to be.
No.
Like it's gone back to treading very, very, very familiar territory. Because the last film, what was that called? Into Darkness. Nope, not that one. The other one, Beyond. Star Trek Beyond. They go to a planet. There's some shit going down. They fight some aliens. They go home. Okay, there was a little twist about who the aliens were.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much it. It felt like just an episode of Star Trek. Which I suppose is good, because that's what they want. But from my Star Trek movies, you want a bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, you want something that would define their timeline, that defines their journey.
But yet never gets mentioned again in the series.
Exactly. But you need something that is a nexus or like a landmark in their history. In the way that First Contact was.
Yes.
And the way that Insurrection absolutely was not. All the best Star Trek movies have been about something that is a moment in history. If you were to look through the history books in the far future, you look through the history books of the events of Star Trek.
Yeah.
The good films are the ones that you would go straight to. These are defining moments in their history, and I think they've kind of lost that kind of importance and gravitas in their films, and it's just another action adventure, crazy aliens on a weird planet. And they're all the same, aren't they? In Star Trek, in the new films, all the planets are the same.
Yes.
They're all these just grey landscapes with spiky jutting rocks. It could be literally any planet.
But in fairness, that's how the original Star Trek looked as well.
Okay, I'm not really going to buy that they're doing that as an homage to the original Star Trek's lack of budget.
But yeah, I think it's a shame they didn't continue on the timeline post Deep Space Nine / Voyager. In fact, Voyager actually, if I remember correctly, Voyager ends slightly after Deep Space Nine in the timeline.
Yeah, I believe so.
But yeah, I think it's a shame because they got to some of the really interesting things like sentient holograms having rights and things like that. It would have been really interesting to see how that all progressed.
And the whole thing with Spock going back in time and using that red liquid, that was one of the most interesting parts of the first film. Having that ability, having this new element in the universe that can effectively send you through time stably.
Yeah.
But just and to walk away from that was a bit. I mean, I understand in part why they did it, because it's hard to attract a new audience to something that has such a long history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. Look at Doctor Who. They completely managed that with their New Who stuff.
But what they kind of do is, because they essentially reboot it by having a new personality for the main character, and that then drives the tone of the world in which that version of the Doctor operates. So whilst it's technically the same chronology, each regeneration brings a different kind of world, a different kind of story, and that's what allows it to constantly bring in new people.
And even things like the Daleks and the Cybermen, they change with the Doctors. The way that they come across and the encounters they have are different depending on which Doctor is encountering them. Whereas you couldn't really do that in Star Trek. I mean, Romulans are Romulans are Romulans.
Except you could have the Romulans progressing, like sociologically and technologically. I mean, going back to one of the films, didn't half of the Romulan Senate get killed by the Remans? And so that could have been like a really good launching point for some very different stories there.
You're absolutely right. I mean, with a good enough writer, I mean, you can do anything.
With a good enough writer, you can do anything.
Okay, that makes...
No, the weird thing is, it makes entire sense as well. With a good enough writer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having a chat with some friends of mine in the pub once about Superman. And the friends were saying, Superman's a terrible character. He's shit. And I said, well, I disagree. I've read this. I just read Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Which I absolutely adore. I think it's amazing. And I said, this is fantastic. What Grant Morrison's done here with Superman is brilliant. And he said, well, yeah, with a good writer, any character can look good. It's like, yes, that's true. Yes, any character can look good, which means there's no such thing as
a bad character.
Bad characters. It's just bad writers.
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Because obviously, many people's favourite character is Batman, but in certain hands, Batman is an absolutely woeful character that there's just no point. He's obviously
awful.
Some very awful periods and so on. As much as it originally sounded to you like it was an inane statement, it's actually a factual one, because that's what writing really is. There's this phrase that I always use and kind of know, which is that there's nothing new under the sun. So you can only tell a new story in an old way, or an old story in a new way.
Yeah.
Because if you tell an old story in an old way, what was the fucking point? And if you try to tell a new story in a new way, then it won't connect with readers. So you've kind of got that limited array of what you can do in order to tell a story that connects.
Yeah.
And so a good writer is taking existing tropes and ideas and combining them either in a unique way, and then using those old tropes in order to express that unique way, or taking an established way of telling a story and changing that so that it's a new thing.
That's very much what, the first example you gave there is very much what Grant Morrison does with Batman and with Superman. He has this philosophy of everything that has been written before has happened. It's anything that's been done in the comic books by whatever writer, it happened. Because Batman has such a varied path of going from colourful hijinks to grim, gritty, real stories. His philosophy is everything happened before. So the original Batwoman is in it. Katie Kane, I think she's called. She's there. All these weird and wonderful characters, like the Knight and his sidekick.
Oh yeah,
the Page. They're all in. All these crazy characters from the 60s that were just thrown in there to keep the sales moving on. They're all part of the continuity. Everything that has gone before has happened, which I think is a really fantastic and ballsy move to say that it's all part of it. It's all part of the story.
It is, I agree, but it also means Batman must be like 75.
He's aged tremendously.
Yeah, exactly. But, as in many walks of life, we can only aspire to be so like Batman.
I don't know. I kind of like my parents, to be honest.
Oh God, by implication, I don't.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Is it?
Oh dear. Well, and on that terrible note, I think maybe we should call that a day. On the note that Ben likes his parents, and clearly I don't.
That's all we can take away from this entire podcast.
Yeah, from this entire podcast, the real leather of podcasts. That's all you can take away. So, thank you very much for listening, everyone. Then I've been Sean Wallace.
And so have I.
No, you haven't.
It's true. I've been Ben Fee.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Good night.